Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So let me just make sure everything is on the way it's supposed to be on. I'm seeing green all around. I'm seeing myself in my peripheral. And so I'm going to assume that everything is doing awesome. This is a random talk. Yeah, this is random talk. So I am just going to talk. It's not necessarily planned in as much as I've thought about it, but I've never actually put anything down for it, but I just want to talk. I may fail miserably at this talk. This talk may go horrendous. I may have a corner in the middle of this talk. But whatever it takes, at the very least, be gentle. In case I fail miserably at my task. I want to make an argument. You've heard me make arguments on this thing of capitalism is a problem, this kind of systemic view of things. All of those things are true. I want to get at a deeper point, though. I'm going to look. You're going to say, "Dude, that's immensely simplistic," but I'm going to make the case that it's immensely true, and then nothing takes place until that underlying thing is dealt with. The problem is trust. I'm going to make the case that the fundamental problem that we deal with, not on an external, over-the-top level, just as an underlying level as human beings, is trust. I will start it off this way. You will see a lot of things in your society, just immense vagaries of aberrant behavior, whether you're talking about crime, whether you're talking about war, whether you're talking about violence, whether you're talking about poverty, which is, I would make a case, is a certain amount of violence. Depriving a person of their needs, yes, that's, I would say, a certain amount of violence. Those things take place at a terrifying level throughout the globe. It's an everyday reality. The billionaire stepping over the homeless guy in order to get into his luxury yacht, or to his car to go to his luxury yacht. Start with a smaller premise, though, not the overlying reality. Start at a substructure. Let's sandbox it. And give me the benefit of the doubt in this argument for a moment, because I may wander around to where I'm trying to get at, because I'm saying it off the top of my head. You start off. Let's say there's just you. Now, you understand you. Don't even say you have a physical body, just a consciousness of sorts. For the most part, you understand you, at least based upon the input and the external things that apply to you. Let's add a body to that. Now, you have you, but you also have needs. Meaning there are certain things that you need to get in order to persist yourself. Otherwise, you will be hungry, you will be in pain, you will be exposed to the elements, etc., etc. All the vagaries of our frailties. You get those things for yourself. You do whatever you need to do to get those things for yourself. And in that way, you yourself are intact. At this point, there's just you. Add someone else. That person is external to you. You don't know what goes on in his head. What you do know is that person has needs just like you. And when it comes down to it, that person is going to do what they need to do to get their needs met. Otherwise, they're going to die in the same way that you're going to die if you don't have your needs met. Now you have competition. There's a certain amount of resources. I need to do what I need to do to get those resources. And not just I need to do what I need to do to get those resources. Is that person who's external to me a threat in getting the resources that I need to persist myself? You have competition. Expand this for the moment to tribes. Expand it to nations. Expand it to the little kingdoms in the sense of corporations. Expand these little wars from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. All throughout your society based upon this premise of us versus them. I trust us. I don't know what's going on into them. That perfectly made sense in a scenario where scarcity was the model. Meaning, it makes a certain amount of sense to say, I'm going to do what I need to do to make sure my needs are met. You may not say it externally. You may not say it in this kind of grand, over-the-top way, but what it boils down to is, in all of these little things, it's a certain amount of competition. I trust me. I don't know what's in them. I don't trust them. In 500 years, they're going to look back and say, those stupid idiots, why didn't they just trust one another to do the things that they needed to make their world a whole place? You understand, this is not a situation where there's no such thing as the technology. You're post-scarcity. Think of what took place in World War II. Honestly, think of what took place in World War II. The United States armed Britain. The United States converted its factories over into a wartime footing, in which case it funded this building project that landed resources, meaning entire, almost, I don't know the term for it, the exact term for it, but this fleet, this massive amount of military on both ends of the globe. That was us. That was us. Us by ourselves was essentially funding the war effort of the entire planet. Think about that. World War II. One of the things that won the Allies of war, yes, the Soviet Union with Stalingrad, but the United States was arming the world. I am making the point that if you're talking about technology going back in the 1950s or 40s, your technology can be turned in a way to get rid of scarcity. That's all I'm saying. Let's stop having this argument as if people are going to go without their needs being met. What we have now is an issue of perspective. That's all I'm getting at. The Star Trek world for the moment. Star Trek is a fascinating case. Now, they seem so foreign to us. And yes, I jumped to Star Trek because I kind of want to make a point. It seems immensely foreign to us when we see what those guys are doing in regards to policy. You're talking about this kind of hegemonic view of humanity being first, as opposed to the hegemonic view of cash. Understand what I mean when I say that? So our system is based upon this kind of neoliberal markets over people, this hegemonic view of capital rules. Even among the masses themselves, this hegemonic view of exploitation as being perfectly okay. Labor associated with whether or not you get your needs met. The Star Trek universe isn't built that way. In fact, it's built kind of the opposite. It looks at the human being as being primary. We are human beings. Well, we think human beings are important. Human beings should be important because we are real things. Markets are not. They have a hegemonic view of humanity and of life that is immensely foreign to us, even though from their perspective we are absolutely barbarians. And even if we're being honest from our own perspective, we are absolutely barbarians. How they did this, though, is not necessarily that they were just better people. Understand what I'm saying this. It's not that they were just better people. They went through a war. At the end of that war, they look back and say, holy shit, we don't want to replicate that. Well, let's use the technology to make sure people have their needs met. From that point on, the moment that the needs were met, their values started to change based upon their society itself. They left the society in the dustbin, not because, again, they were just better people and they just said, oh, fuck it, we're just going to go without. Their values shifted. Their values shifted based upon the situation that they were presented with. At a certain point, you end up with a hegemonic view of the world in the sense of humanity first. It's not that they were better. They were presented with a different scenario, and they took a different point of view. I'm making a point to you that what's wrong with us is this issue of trust. It's the issue of point of view. Do we have the technical know-how to make sure people have their needs met? The answer is yes. If Bill Gates tomorrow said, I am buying an island in the Caribbean, wherever it is, I don't care where it is. He buys an island. Again, give me the benefit of the doubt. And on this island, Bill Gates says, look, I am going to use my great wealth to essentially say the technology on the island itself is going to make sure that the needs are met for the people on the island. Energy is just going to be a byproduct of the way the island is built, meaning none of this stuff about needing cars, none of this stuff about needing, none of those things are necessary. The transportation of the system of the island is pre-thought. It's automated. Everything, for the most part, is automated. There's work on the island, of course, but the work itself that's on the island is to maintain the island itself, meaning what you do for a living suits the greater whole. When you get up in the morning, you're not making widgets. You're doing something for the larger society. Think about the alienation you many people receive from their labor on a daily basis. They do something. In no way does the thing that they do really do anything for the larger society. The only thing it does is something to put money in somebody else's pocket and give them enough chips so they can spend their cash and repeat the process. In this scenario, you're doing something purely for the sake of the island. The overwhelming majority of the things on the island are automated. Most of your free time is yours. What do you think life will be like on that particular island? Now, I need to nail this point in. This is not one of those things that is beyond the scale of our technology. This is not beyond the scale of our know-how. We choose not to do it. We choose not to do it. The things that the people will do on the island will be based on a sense of trust, because each person knows that the thing they're doing is affecting is for the society as a whole itself. Now, their needs are met. This is not a situation where there's scarcity on the island. There is no such thing as scarcity on the island. Whatever the carrying capacity of the island needs to be in order to make sure that this stuff is self-sufficient. That's what the carrying capacity needs to be to make sure it's self-sufficient. All of these things are technical choices, technical decisions. It's doable. It's doable. We could literally create multiple fleets and arm the world in World War II by changing the technology in the course of a few years to meet those needs. And you're telling me that we can't do the same thing now? All of this stuff is choice. That's what I'm saying. War, poverty, greed, all this stuff is choice. If everybody had their needs met and each person knew that they were going to have their needs met, what would you be willing to do? Would you be willing to do your job if you knew that for the most part you're never going to go hungry? If you ever wanted to go to school, you can go to school and most of your time is your own. Gardnome, what's up, dude? What's up? Let's see. Humans are only partially social creatures. Not trusting is a survival trait. That's just because you've been banged over the head in this particular society with not being able to trust. You don't have a choice to be, somewhat skeptical in the society that you're raised in. That's just because you've been ensconced in the society from the day you were born to now. If you were in a completely different society, let's say Bill Gates' island, of course, all your needs are met. You may be distrustful of somebody in a job position. You may be distrustful of somebody, meaning that particular doctor that's taking care of your care. But this is not a scenario where you're raised in a society of people who are distrustful and competitive. You're raised in a society where all of your needs are furnished. You play a role in that society. But none of this competitive shit goes on in the same way that it goes on here. That is a fundamentally different society. How that person is going to be raised will be fundamentally different. What those human beings will look like on that island is going to be fundamentally different than the human beings in our case. I would almost wager they're going to be naive in the way that they behave. No, all creatures of the same species compete. It's just a product of capitalism. You can make a case that capitalism arose out of that need to compete. Fair enough. You're dealing with scarcity. I don't think it's crazy at all for somebody to say, this person has something that I myself need, or I'm concerned that I'm not going to have my needs. But that goes away when that's no longer the case. What does a human being look like when that human being no longer needs to compete for resources? I don't think you can answer that. I would wager it doesn't look like us. I wager that much. Alright, I don't want to go too far. Just my thoughts. I hope this went through okay. I think the underlying problem to this is trust. I really do. If we lived in a fictional world where, and this is why I'm trying to use the sandbox of the island thing, because sometimes it's difficult for people to pull themselves out their own context. Just my thoughts. Alright guys, if you enjoy the content, feel free to share, rate, subscribe, and of course, you can always support the